Sadly, they do not sell regret pills at the pharmacy, right, girls? The bratty princess totally mocked a weak eunuch. 6 years later, oops, she is marrying his newly promoted, terrifying self. Pro tip: avoid making enemies if you love breathing. At least the sun is shining beautifully today. The gloomy palace finally got some sunny weather. Even our spoiled Grand Princess felt totally relaxed and fabulous. Too bad a massive karma bomb was about to explode right in her pretty face. Meet Xiao Chongning, the absolute firstborn royal diva of the entire fabulous dynasty. Spoiled rotten since birth, she breathed pure luxury and endless adoring compliments. But losing her mom flipped her whole sparkly world upside down, especially today's wildly dramatic disaster. Ning glared at the cute eunuch and shrieked, "Why are you stalking me like a lost puppy? Shoo, before I call my giant guards to squish you, you will totally regret existing." Ignoring her fiery royal tantrum, her sweet maid whispered, "Princess, please chill out for a second. This cutie is Shun Shi, your new errand boy from the directors. Please lower your royal volume. It ruins the palace vibes." Ning blinked, completely confused by this hilarious nonsense. She blurted out, "The what now? If he is such a good boy, why dump him on me as an errand runner? Ugh, seeing him just triggers horrible memories of my precious mother's tragic palace drama. If these sneaky guys weren't so powerful, Mom would be fine. Just toss him into the Eastern Depot." I absolutely loathe pretty-faced charmers who secretly twist their masters around their little fingers. Keeping this guy around will totally ruin my aesthetic. Yeet him as far away as humanly possible. The gorgeous kneeling boy literally stayed completely silent through her entire crazy rant. Hearing her brutal rejection, he flashed her a delightfully icy glare. It hid a sexy, dark secret she completely missed. Just as that freezing, intense glare gave Ning literal goosebumps, she violently gasped awake. Phew, just a nightmare. She grabbed her chest, muttering, "Oh dear Lord, 6 whole years have passed. Why is that gorgeous jerk still haunting my dreams? Talk about an embarrassing obsession. Ever since the wicked Empress Dowager took over, his icy, piercing stare absolutely haunts my beauty sleep. Like he wants to totally devour me." Overthinking this gives me the worst heebie-jeebies. The palace is a total mess now. That wicked dowager snatched every single drop of royal power. Even the poor emperor is her puppet. My siblings are basically fighting just to stay alive. Thankfully, even without the old bat's love, I have managed to comfortably coast through palace life. I am super lucky. Anyway, time to ditch that steamy nightmare. A princess has a busy schedule today. If I keep obsessing over his eyes, my daily royal pampering will totally be ruined. Slapping her cheeks like crazy, Ning desperately tried to snap out of it. Before she could even stretch, a maid squeaked, "Princess, the scary dowager wants you right now." Usually, her summons meant boring lectures, but today's surprise meeting was about to be absolutely wild. Ning's jaw literally dropped. In the grand hall, her unladylike shriek made every single person jump. "I am marrying who?" Seeing Ning utterly panic, the evil dowager smiled with deliciously toxic sweetness. "Why, Shunxian? That exact pretty boy you ruthlessly dumped out on the street 6 years ago. Surprise! You are becoming his bride!" Wait, wasn't that cute bullied guy named Shunxi back then? Did he get a glowing name upgrade? The wimpy emperor awkwardly interrupted the dowager's dramatic pause. "Sis, it is totally him!" The insanely hot commander threatened that if you reject this crazy proposal, he will literally fire me from being emperor. Commander? Ning's brain completely short-circuited in pure comic shock. The terrifying, legendary boss everyone feared was her old punching bag? Talk about an embarrassing plot twist. Her pride absolutely refused this crazy fate. She dramatically threw herself to the shiny floor, screaming, "A fabulous princess marrying a eunuch?" The grumpy old politicians will literally explode from pure shock. Our ghostly ancestors will totally haunt me. Ning unleashed her ultimate, most dramatic damsel in distress mode. Fake crying her beautiful eyes out, she wailed for pity. "Stop bullying me! My mommy died when I was tiny! I'm completely helpless, yet you throw me to the wolves! Unbelievable! Plus, I publicly humiliated that man before. He absolutely hates me! That Eastern Depot commander is famously wicked. If I marry him, he'll totally make my life a living nightmare just to get even. He'll torture me to vent his grudge. What on earth should I do? Please, Empress Dowager. If you won't cancel this crazy marriage, I'd rather end it all to keep my honor. You'd think such dramatic tears would work and melt the Dowager's heart. Instead, she just smirked. Ning, even if you tragically die, your pretty corpse is wearing that wedding dress straight into his tomb. Come on, you're a smart girl. A truly wise woman knows when to gracefully bow to fate. Besides, you started this messy drama. Time to face the music, my dear Ning, wouldn't you agree? If you refuse to marry Shun Xian, this entire empire might just end up bearing his wicked name. But say yes, and you stay a pampered princess while becoming the terrifying commander's little bride. He wouldn't dare lay a finger on you. Honestly, though, Ning was still terribly confused. How could a frail beauty like her fight a monster? The Dowager smiled sweetly and whispered, "Of course you can. Seduce him, surprise him, and help us end his life. Then we all live happily ever after." Despite pouring her heart out, Ning's dramatic pleas failed completely. Ultimately, she was forced to wed that scary eunuch, just as ordered. She was totally out of options. After agonizing over her tragic fate, the big day arrived. Time to board the bridal palanquin and officially become Shun Xian's reluctant wife. Ning was absolutely furious, and honestly, the gossiping crowds watching the wedding parade totally agreed with her. One frustrated bystander sighed loudly. Our poor Princess Royal, the Emperor's absolute favorite darling, thrown to a eunuch. It breaks the heart. Yes, a true tragedy for our lovely princess. But hush now. If that scary commander hears us, he'll chop our heads off. Zip your lips. Ironically, the dread-filled trip from the palace to his spooky manor was incredibly short. The palanquin barely moved before it arrived. Even when the nervous servants finally announced to Ning that she had to step out, she simply refused to accept her romantic doom. Knowing her terrifying new husband was waiting right outside, you couldn't pay her enough to step foot out there. So, she just stubbornly sat there. After an embarrassingly long and super awkward wait, a highly annoyed Shun Xian growled, "Will my darling princess step out, or must I drag you down myself? Make a choice, Ning." Well, she couldn't hide forever. Plus, if her stubbornness made him snap, he might just kill her. Gulping nervously, she bravely decided keeping her head was slightly more important. She figured acting like a sweet, obedient bride would keep her safe. Oh, how wrong she was. Nothing is ever simple. The second her dainty foot touched the ground, his massive pet dog leaped. Terrified out of her mind, a panicking Ning instinctually threw her arms around her scary husband, hugging him for dear life. But the romantic comedy didn't stop there. Suddenly, a panicked servant rushed over. "Commander, the prisoner won't talk." What now? Shun Xian didn't even blink his beautiful cold eyes. "Burn him alive," he ordered casually, making poor Ning's trembling legs completely turn to jelly. The sheer horror was too much. She dramatically swooned. Never in her wildest dreams did she expect to marry such a gorgeous, terrifying tyrant. It looked like a genuine fear-induced fainting spell. Actually, she just tripped backward. But hey, what a brilliant excuse. Staying completely knocked out meant she could totally avoid his piercing, handsome glare. Pretending to be dead to the world, she'd happily endure it. Avoiding conversation with her demonic husband was worth any discomfort. However, while our dramatic princess played dead, Shun Xian wasn't easily fooled. He ruthlessly pinched the space right under her nose to wake her. Internally, Ning was crying tears of pain. Hello, she was a delicate flower, not a statue. Ouch! But a great actress commits to the bit. If she opened her eyes right now, she'd be the biggest clown in the empire. So, despite the agonizing, pinching pain, she stubbornly kept her eyes shut tight. Unfortunately for her, Shun Xian was wickedly brilliant. One amused glance told him everything. Did this silly little princess really think she could trick him? Faking a swoon? Cute try, Ning. But Shun Xian demanded their wedding night proceed anyway. Unconscious or just playing dead. It didn't matter. Once the servants dumped her inside, they nervously glanced back, asking, "Commander, should we summon a doctor for her? Madam looks terrible. Can you handle her alone?" But brushing off their panicked whispers, Shun Xian coolly shook his head. "Nonsense. I can perfectly manage my own bride. Dismissed. I will call if required." Once the gossiping maids finally scurried away, he calmly hauled in a massive water basin, creeping toward Ning and absolutely terrifying her. What on earth is he doing? A whole tub? Is he going to wash my face? Is this notorious man actually a romantic softie? But as his shadow loomed, panic struck. Holding that huge basin, does this tyrant think I am a spy needing water torture? Is he going to splash freezing water on my face like an interrogated criminal? Surprisingly, he wasn't that barbaric. He merely wrung out a damp towel and ruthlessly tossed it. Smack onto her face! Startled, she stubbornly squeezed her eyes shut, playing dead. Better a wet rag than a cold flood. But after suffocating under the heavy fabric, she gasped for air and shot up, glaring at her new husband with blazing fury. That jerk totally suffocated her on purpose. Taking a deep breath, she regained her composure. Scanning his chambers, she secretly marveled. Wow, it is suspiciously spotless and elegantly arranged. But rumors say men lacking certain parts have wildly eccentric tempers, especially eunuchs. Heavens! Just imagining his secret weird habits gives me chills. Is Shun Xian secretly unhinged? Just execute me swiftly. Don't drag out the torture. This noble princess cannot take any more. Defying her wild imagination, he simply offered a devastatingly handsome, gentle gaze. You must be starving. I had the kitchen make warm porridge. You are exhausted. Please eat to restore your energy. Her stomach flipped. Eat that? Who knows what fatal poison this devil slipped inside? If he still holds on to that ancient grudge, this is the perfect setup for assassination. Despite her stomach loudly protesting, she dramatically crossed her arms. No, I am absolutely not eating. I am not hungry. Amused, Shun Xian smoothly moved the untouched porridge aside without forcing her. However, it is our wedding night. We simply must share the traditional nuptial wine. She nervously gulped. This man could strike at any moment, whether with a sharp blade or this suspicious cup of wine. But cornered as his legal bride, she had zero escapes. If he demanded her life, her fate was sealed anyway. Staring at the tiny porcelain cup, Ning desperately weighed her options. Was this a romantic toast or a lethal trap? Trembling, she completely refused to sip. Who willingly invites a poisoned death? Catching her paranoid glare, Shun Xian burst into gorgeous, teasing laughter. Afraid to drink? I promise it is totally poison-free. Why so cowardly? Fine, I shall test it first. Will my beautiful bride trust me then? With a charming smirk, he downed the liquor in one smooth, elegant gulp. Exactly as promised, he did not dramatically drop dead. Out of excuses, Ning awkwardly raised her own bridal cup. But as the rim touched her lips, he suddenly grabbed her wrist. Wait, your stomach is empty. Drinking now will ruthlessly shred your stomach! But stubbornly refusing his earlier food offer, Ning rebelliously threw her head back and downed it anyway. Yet, she vastly underestimated one detail. This ancient vintage burned like pure liquid fire. The harsh spice assaulted her delicate throat. She hilariously choked, coughing it all out. Watching her splutter, Shun Xian softly sighed. I warned you, little rebel. Drinking alcohol on an empty stomach brings absolute spicy misery. Fine, skip the porridge. But I absolutely despise seeing mournful, tragic colors on my wedding night. That depressing white clothing must go. My dear princess, I must trouble you to strip those off. Her cheeks burned bright red. Although legally wedded to this handsome eunuch, stripping was just too embarrassing. Disrobing before this man? Her flustered heart screamed absolute refusal. While Ning froze in pure panic, Shun Xian suddenly pulled a wildly shocking stunt. Ignoring her completely, he casually shed his shirt. He teased, Fine, if you refuse, then I will bear it all. Ning completely panicked. Heavens, this absolutely shameless lunatic. Casually stripping before a lady? Zero modesty. Yet defying her wild expectations, Xun Xian, he just tossed his robe to scrub his hands. Pure innocence. Once squeaky clean, Xun Xian dramatically flopped onto her bed. Honestly, poor Ning was sweating absolute bullets, terrified of this unhinged eunuch's next move. Lounging gracefully, Xun Xian purred. Princess Ning truly despises us eunuchs, right? You once called me a delicate sissy seducing the master. So tonight, why not personally test if I am truly just a fragile sissy? Trapping her against the wall, he left poor Ning breathless. 6 whole years passed, and this handsome dork still remembered? Her heart was short-circuiting. He recalled every single word. Who knew this petty eunuch could hold such a massive grudge? As the handsome eunuch dangerously leaned in, a flustered Ning completely panicked. She frantically flailed her trembling hands, trying to shoo Xunzian away, yelling, "Get back!" But suddenly, at the peak of tension, her starving stomach let out a thunderous growl, instantly shattering the romantic mood. Xun Xian merely wanted to tease her, but seeing her dizzy state, he paused his playful flirting. He swiftly stepped outside and ordered a steaming bowl of savory chicken soup. He personally brought the delicious broth back to his hungry lady to desperately rescue her rumbling tummy. She stubbornly refused at first, but under Xun Xian's dangerously intense, devilish stare, Ning nervously swallowed the soup down. Despite her best efforts, her tiny appetite couldn't finish the giant bowl. Poor Ning felt so stuffed. Seeing her adorable, full belly finally warmed up with food, Xun Xian felt secretly overjoyed. He smoothly removed his hat and smirked. Well then, since my lady is stuffed, let us hurry to bed. The night is late. Hearing this incredibly cheeky suggestion, Ning blinked in sheer disbelief. Wait, that is it? No horrific torture session? He is just letting me go? She braced herself for a night of absolute terror, yet everything was shockingly peaceful. Her heart did a confused little flip. He stepped toward the bed, but suddenly, Xun Xian paused. Ah, right. This snobby princess absolutely despises eunuchs. Why would she ever share a bed with her sworn enemy? With a wicked smirk, he declared, I know your highness would rather die than sleep next to me, so I shall rudely offer you the floor rug. If it pleases the princess, make yourself at home. Far away from my presence! You would think a proud royal would never stoop so low, but shockingly, she practically dove for the dusty floor rather than cuddle with him. Honestly, Ning wanted to cry a little. She was the Grand Princess Royal, for heaven's sake. She belonged in a luxurious palace with pampering maids, not shivering on a cold, hard rug. Xun Xian totally sensed her pathetic little aura. Facing the wall to hide his amusement, he casually tossed back, Sleep well, princess. My Eastern Depot never bothers executing useless trash. So rest your pretty little head. Down on the floor, Ning puffed her cheeks in absolute outrage. Useless trash? Did he just call me useless? Whatever, surviving the night is a total win. I will take what I can get. But despite her fierce pride, her fragile body betrayed her. She curled into a trembling, shivering little ball of royalty. Xun Xian sighed, his cold heart softening. To think the haughty girl who once crushed his pride was now his helpless wife. Seeing her freeze on the floor was weirdly pitiful. Unable to ignore his sudden husband instincts, he gently draped a blanket over her shivering shoulders. A clumsy gesture, but strangely romantic. However, this brat was fiercely stubborn, even while unconscious. Every single time he carefully tucked her in, she violently kicked it off 5 seconds later. Watching this chaotic sleeping habit, his eyelid twitched violently. Xun Qian grumbled, What is her deal? She is shivering like a stubborn little popsicle. She completely rejects my blanket. Seriously, her head is thicker than a boulder. All right then. Drastic times call for drastic measures. Smirking, he quickly swooped in, wrapping her up tight. Let us see her try kicking this cozy cocoon away. Come morning, our princess woke up completely dazed. Huh? Has the sun risen already? Why am I wrapped like a burrito? Did Xun Xian do this? How incredibly tight! I can barely breathe. Suddenly, a wildly absurd theory struck her. Is he trying to roast me alive? Only a complete villain would bundle me up. While she was spiraling, her loyal maids were already nervously peeking through the doors. When she originally married into this manor, one dowry maid accompanied her. Shen Xian generously gifted her 2 more. So today, 3 anxious maids stood nearby. All 3 girls shared exactly one thought: pure, sheer panic for their precious mistress. Fearing she endured unspeakable nighttime horrors, they watched as Ning heavily sighed. Nothing happened, thankfully. Surviving is a blessing, but sleeping on that wooden footrest was agonizing. I ache so much I cannot even lift my arms. Hearing this, the maids gasped. What? You slept on a filthy footrest? How absolutely dare he treat royalty so terribly? Such vicious cruelty! Facing their dramatic outrage, Ning offered a deeply helpless sigh. There is only one bed here. Did you expect me to share it with him? I would never. Anyway, quick question. How many rooms exist in your servant quarters? 2 rooms total, Your Highness. Dong Hui and I share, while Xiao Hong gets 1. Why do you ask? Immediately, the princess's eyes sparkled with mischievous joy. She thought she was doomed to eternal backaches, but heaven clearly favored her brilliance. Grinning deviously, she declared, "Perfect! You 3 cuddle in one, and I will take the other." The maid stood utterly flabbergasted. What? You literally just got married yesterday! Escaping to a separate room already! The terrifying commander will never allow this! Watching her gleeful plotting, they stammered nervously. Princess, this plan is pure suicide. Would he truly let you run away after a single day of marriage? The manor gossip would be downright scandalous. Ning was absolutely appalled at her loyal maid. Opposing such a tiny, brilliant request? Outrageous! She shot the girl a dramatic glare. Gritting her teeth, she snapped. Wow! Selling out so soon after entering his turf? Already kissing up to the master! Have you completely forgotten who your real mistress is? Internally, she ruthlessly cursed that sinister Shen Xian. His wicked mind is terrifyingly unpredictable. Being near him makes my skin crawl. I desperately need a solid escape plan. Distance is my only safety. Speaking of survival, I starved all day yesterday. Surviving on forced chicken soup has left me ravenous. A genius brain needs proper fuel. I need a feast to outsmart that guy. Panic is no excuse to skip meals. Finally, the famished princess could aggressively demolish a glorious morning feast. Mid-bite, an annoying voice suddenly echoed. Lin Huan respectfully greets the Madam Commander. The master wishes to know if the breakfast satisfies? Her foodie bliss instantly evaporated. That hateful name ruined everything! Gritting her teeth, she scoffed with absolute majestic sass. Thanks to your lovely master, even a divine banquet tastes like pure cardboard. It is completely, utterly tasteless. Her joyful dining experience was utterly shattered by his presence. Hearing his cursed title, she furiously snapped, Truly, your glorious master ruins my appetite. Shoving delicacies into my mouth brings zero joy. Everything tastes like absolute flavorless misery. Lin Huan blinked in pure, empty-headed confusion. Forgive my sheer lack of brain cells, but I skipped school, so your fancy insults completely flew over my head. Delicious food? Never mind. I am completely done with this topic, Ning sighed. Where is that scary commander today? He was gone when I woke. Madam, the commander is in the council room discussing important matters. He ordered me to escort Madam around the depot to adjust. Hearing this, Ning's heart absolutely soared. The tyrant is out! Why should I fear these lackeys? Instantly, Ning sat up perfectly straight. Projecting pure royal arrogance, she declared, I refuse to stroll, nor do I care to mingle. Keep your opinions hidden. I am no mere madam. You will address me properly as Her Royal Highness, the Princess Royal. Lin Huan froze in utter confusion. Why was the madam so fiercely offended by a simple walk? Then the commander's dark warning echoed in his mind. If madam disobeys my orders, you have my permission to act. Lin Huan instantly reached for his lethal blade to show his authority. But before the blade even cleared its scabbard, the mere clink of cold steel shattered Ning's fake courage. She dropped her rice bowl in pure terror. Reluctantly swallowing her pride, Ning meekly followed the armed guard. Anything to keep her pretty little head attached. Soon, Lin Huan guided Ning through the vast, intimidating depot, cheerfully playing tour guide. Suddenly, he whipped 2 massive steamed buns from his pocket. Ning blinked in absolute shock. Watching his eyes sparkle as he devoured the simple food, she found it incredibly bizarre. Was he really starving? But the truth was far more tragic. Lin Huan possessed a brutal past, surviving agonizing days without a single crumb of food. That nightmare birthed a deep starvation trauma. So whenever a meal appeared, he feasted like it was his final day alive. While Ning pondered his quirky obsession, a familiar, soft meow pierced the air. Her heart leaped. That was her precious Amber. She brought the furball to the depot, but missed it terribly after days of separation. Royal dignity completely forgotten, Ning sprinted blindly after her beloved little pet. She ran until the depot corridors grew dark and unfamiliar. As she crept closer, low murmurs echoed, mixed with Shen Xian's deep, chilling tone. Burning curiosity gripped her, so she peeked from the shadows. She never expected to stumble upon a deadly secret being plotted by her own husband. The terrifying truth hit her, demanding immediate flight, hoping the shadows would hide her trembling form. But as she turned to flee, Shen Xian's deadly aura flared. "Who goes there? Show yourself!" Ning's soul left her body. Pure survival instinct took over. Her mind screamed only one command: run for your life! If caught, her beautiful royal neck would definitely be the next to face the guillotine. By the time Shen Xian yanked the heavy doors open, the eavesdropper had vanished. But the clumsy princess left behind a fatal clue. Her silk handkerchief had betrayed her. It fluttered gently to the cold stone floor. Smirking at the delicate pink fabric, the poison master chuckled. "Commander, your lovely wife heard our scheme. Should we revise?" "Unnecessary," Shen Xian calmly dismissed. Baffled by his boss's chill attitude, a guard protested angrily. "You trust that woman? The Empress Dowager obviously sent her to assassinate you. Aren't you worried she'll betray us for her family?" Shen Xian merely offered cold silence. He felt utterly confident in his silly wife. She was far too pure for treason. Reading the commander's silent but deadly glare, the subordinate instantly grasped the unspoken truth. He grinned nervously. "Understood, boss. If Her Highness is entirely under your magnificent control, then we have absolutely nothing to fear. Surely the princess is smart enough to avoid playing dangerous games with her life." Shen Xian's lips curved upward. Gently pocketing his wife's handkerchief, he declared, "This depot only knows blood and brutal executions. It is painfully dull. We haven't had a single entertaining distraction in years. Keeping her around as my personal amusement is fine. Relax." With a faint smirk, the fearsome commander leaped gracefully onto the roof, searching for his silly wife's lost cat. Total lie! Chuckling, he snuggled the fluffy kitty before handing it to his aide. "Rush this furball to Lin Huang for his lady. It is hers. And seriously, stop leaving lethal toxins everywhere. If a certain clueless darling finds them, disaster will strike." Shen Xian scolded them, knowing his sweet Ning possessed a dangerously cute, curious streak. Left unguarded, she would cheerfully wander off and taste test every mysterious deadly thing around. She would accidentally die before his grand romance began. Meanwhile, our oblivious heroine just panicked. She sprinted home wildly, utterly convinced the terrifying Shen Xian might devour her if she paused. Bolting into her room, she deadbolted the doors and cried, "I heard the villain's secret! He will definitely assassinate me!" Naturally, her poor maid turned pale with absolute sheer terror. That commander was famously ruthless. Now that the Princess Royal uncovered his dark truth, her doom was completely sealed. Gulping nervously, the trembling maid could only